Keeping up with AI-driven software development these days, it can feel like, well, like a full-time job just tracking everything.
Oh, absolutely. So much happening, so many new tools. It's exciting, but yeah, definitely overwhelming if you don't have a way to manage it.
Right. It feels like you're constantly playing catch-up,
Exactly. Productivity can actually take a hit if you're not careful.
which brings us nicely to our deep dive today. We've been digging into this analysis of something called Claude Taskmaster,
Hmm.
and it's positioned as a potential solution to this, well, this chaos. Sort of an AI-powered project manager, but specifically for AI development.
That's a great way to put it. It's not just, another Trello board or something.
No.
No, the really interesting part is how deeply it hooks into the actual AI coding workflow. It's meant to be more like an intelligent partner in the process.
Okay, let's unpack that. So what is Claude Taskmaster like in practical terms?
And so at its core, it's an AI system designed to make those complex AI software workflows simpler. And it has two main ways you can interact with it.
Two ways.
Yeah. There's something called the Model Control Protocol, or MCP. Think of that as like a direct connection into your code editor. Things like Cursor, Lovable, Windsurf, VS Code.
Ah, so it works right where you're coding.
Exactly. Brings the AI smarts right into the editor. But then it also has a traditional command line interface, a CLI for people who prefer working that way.
Gotcha. So flexibility there. Who's actually building this?
The main folks behind it are at IL Toledano and at Ralph Ecom. And if you want to check out the code yourself, it's all open source on GitHub. The repo is github.com at El Toledano Claude Taskmaster.
Okay.
It uses an MIT license, but there's this extra bit called the Commons clause attached. We can talk about what that means a bit later.
Right, the licensing details.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what's the big problem they're trying to solve here? What's the core purpose?
Fundamentally, it's about boosting a developer's ability to handle these really complex AI projects. The idea is to use AI itself to break down big requirements into smaller pieces, help plan the development stages, and even give you support while you're actually writing the code.
Okay.
And looking bigger picture, the vision seems to be about helping startups grow faster and making businesses more efficient by, strategically using AI and managing how different AI models work together.
That's quite a goal. So who's the target user? Is it for everyone or?
It seems pretty specifically aimed at software developers, AI and machine learning engineers, and maybe project managers who are really in the weeds of building AI-powered software.
Right.
The features, like how it understands product requirements, documents, or PRDs, and integrates tightly with those coding tools that's really tailored for those roles.
Okay, give me an example. How would, say, an AI engineer use this day to day?
Sure. So
Yeah.
imagine you've got a detailed PRD, right? Maybe it's in a file like scripts sprd.txt. You feed that into Claude Taskmaster. The AI reads it, figures out all the development tasks needed, breaks them down.
Automatically.
Yeah, automatically. It creates a structured list of tasks. Then it can help you figure out, okay, what's the most important thing to work on next? It can assist with the coding for that task, maybe suggesting approaches or code snippets, and it keeps track of the whole project's status.
Hmm.
And the key thing, again, is that deep integration, especially with tools like Cursor or Windsurf. It's not just a list off to the side. The AI is sort of in your workflow.
That sounds pretty powerful. So how does it actually work? What are the main features making this happen?
Well, a big piece is that AI-powered workflow we just talked about. It starts with the PRD. The AI parses it and spits out a tasks.json file.
Right, the task list.
Exactly. But it's structured tasks, dependencies between them, priorities, even ideas for how to test each task. And the AI doesn't stop there. It stays involved, helping analyze requirements, assisting with implementation, breaking down tricky tasks.
So it smooths out that initial planning hump quite a bit. What about the AI models themselves? Are you stuck with just one, like Claude?
Oh, no, not at all. It's actually designed to be pretty flexible there. You can plug in models from Anthropic, so Claude, yes, but also OpenAI, Google Gemini, Perplexity, xAI, even OpenRouter, which lets you access a whole bunch of different models.
Wow, okay.
You just need the API keys for whichever ones you want to use. And it lets you set up 3 different roles for models. A main one for everyday stuff, a research model for maybe more complex analysis, and a fallback, just in case your primary one has issues.
A fallback is smart. For reliability. Any recent changes on the model front?
Yeah, actually, version 0.14 added something pretty significant. A base URL setting.
Base URL.
Yeah, in the config file, it lets you point Taskmaster to different API endpoints. This is super useful for, say, big companies using enterprise cloud stuff like AWS or Azure, or if you have your own custom AI service you want to use.
Ah, okay. More control for enterprises.
Exactly. And maybe even more importantly, they added support for Olama.
Olama. That lets you run models locally, right?
Precisely. So you can run capable AI models right on your own machine, potentially cutting out API costs altogether for certain tasks. That's a potential game changer for budget-conscious developers or teams.
Yeah, local models could definitely save money.
Hmm.
You mentioned the two interfaces earlier, the editor integration,
Yeah.
MCP, and the command line, CLI.
Mhm.
How do they differ in practice?
Right. So MCP is all about that smooth, embedded experience in your editor. It uses these concise JSON messages to talk back and forth, optimize so it's efficient and quick. The insights and actions feel like part of your coding environment.
Seamless.
Kind of, yeah. The CLI is, well, your standard command line, text commands, text output. It gets the same job done fundamentally, but it might be, slightly cheaper to run depending on the setup because some of those editor integrations or MCP clients might have their own costs.
Ah, okay. So workflow preference and maybe budget plays a role. How does it actually help you manage all the tasks once they're generated?
Task management got a big boost in version 0.14 as well. They added a canceled status so you can mark tasks that aren't needed anymore without just deleting them.
That's useful.
Yeah. And the MCP toolbar, the one in the editor, is apparently quite powerful now. You can do a lot directly from there. Update task details, add or remove subtasks, create files linked to a task, change the status, figure out the next logical task, break down complex ones, manage dependencies, even analyze how complex a task is likely to be.
Wow. Okay. Lots of control right there.
And they added a little safety net, a confirmation prompt if you try to use the remove task command. Helps avoid accidentally wiping out work.
Always appreciated. You mentioned cost before those API bills can be scary. How does Taskmaster help with that?
This is a really key update in 0.14 cost telemetry.
Telemetry, so tracking.
Exactly. It tracks the token usage for every AI command, whether you run it from the CLI or through MCP. Then it calculates the actual cost for that command based on the model used.
Oh, that's brilliant. Granular cost tracking.
Yeah. And the plan is apparently to feed this data into some kind of model leaderboard so you can compare which models are most cost-effective for different kinds of jobs. It gives you transparency, which is huge for managing unpredictable API spending. Plus, you always have that Olama option for potentially zero cost.
Seeing the cost per command.
Yeah.
Yeah, that puts you back in control.
Yeah.
And the task complexity analysis you mentioned. How does that work?
So after it's processed your PRD, you can run this analyze complexity command. It uses AI again to look at each task and give it a score. How complex does the AI think this task is?
Okay.
And it even suggests, like, maybe you should break this task down into X number of subtasks. Those scores then show up in your task list when it suggests the next task in the task details, giving you a quick visual cue about the potential effort.
It feels like it's becoming less of a simple list manager and more of an intelligent guide for the project.
That's exactly the shift, I think. It's moving from just holding tasks to actively helping you navigate the project, providing insights, becoming more of an AI co-pilot.
Okay, let's switch gears slightly. Getting started. What's the setup like? What's the tech architecture involved?
Right, so first off, you need those API keys from whichever AI providers you plan to use. We mentioned that. How you store them depends. For the CLI, you typically put them in a .env file in your project folder. For MCP, the editor integration, it usually goes in an editor-specific file, like .mcp.json.
Okay.
The recommendation is actually to put them in both places, but definitely add that .mcp.json file to your .jitingnor so you don't accidentally commit your keys.
Good tip. Security first.
Absolutely. And there's a command, Taskmaster Models, that lets you check if your keys are working and which models are configured.
And installing the tool itself.
A couple main ways. For MCP, you usually need to tweak your editor settings. The report has some examples for, like, cursor, windsurf, VS Code, telling the editor how to run Taskmaster, where to find the keys, that sort of thing. Cursor apparently has an extra step in its extension settings. The other way is the command line. You can install it globally with npm install -g taskmaster AI, or you can install it just for one project. Then you run taskmaster init or npx taskmaster init in your project folder to set up the basic structure. Or, you could just clone the GitHub repo directly and run the setup script.
And telling it which AI models to use for main research fallback, is that in a config file somewhere?
This is kind of neat. You can actually often do it just using natural language in your editor's AI chat.
Really?
Yeah, like typing, hey, change the main model to Claude 3 Opus and the research model to Gemini Pro, that kind of thing.
Huh. That's user-friendly.
It is. Though the .taskmaster config file is where you'd put that base rule setting we talked about for custom endpoints. And one other thing for Cursor users, even if you don't use the full MCP setup, Cursor has this rules file, .cursor's rulesdev_workflow.mdc, where you can describe Taskmaster. That helps Cursor's own AI understand how to work with it.
Interesting. So once it's installed, keys are set. What's step one for a new project?
Get your product requirements document ready. Make it detailed. The report really stresses this. The better the PRD, the better the AI can understand what needs doing. Then you put that file, usually named prd.txt, inside the scripts directory that Taskmaster creates during initialization.
Got it. Detailed PRD in script sprd.txt. Then what? How does the day-to-day actually flow?
You mostly interact through commands, either typing natural language requests into your editor's AI chat or using specific commands in the CLI.
Like asking the AI.
Yeah, things like parse the PRD. What's the next task I should work on? Help me implement the logging feature. Or break down this complex API integration task. The CLI has corresponding commands like taskmaster parse, taskmaster next, taskmaster implement, taskmaster expand. Table 3 in the source material actually lists a bunch of common ones.
Okay. Could you walk through a sort of typical cycle using this
Yeah.
from PRD to completed task?
Sure, it often starts with PRD parsing.
Mm.
You tell the AI to read your prd.txt and it generates that tasks.json. Then comes task discovery selection. You might use commands like list or next. The AI looks at the tasks, their dependencies, priorities, and suggests, okay, based on everything, this task seems like the best one to tackle now.
Makes sense.
Next is task implementation. You start working on the code. The AI assistant can help here, referencing the task details from tasks.json, considering dependencies, maybe suggesting code that follows your project standards, or helping write tests based on the test strategy defined for the task.
So it's actively assisting during coding.
Exactly. Then verification. You check if the task is done right using the test strategy. Maybe you're running automated tests, perhaps some manual checks. And the system is built for adaptation. If requirements change, like the report mentions needing to switch databases mid-project, Taskmaster is designed to help adjust the plan.
Dynamically.
That's the idea. And finally, if you hit a really big, hairy task, there's task expansion. You can tell the AI to break it down into smaller, more manageable subtasks. You might even tell it to use that research model for deeper analysis during this breakdown.
It really does sound like the AI is woven through the whole life cycle. But the developer's still driving, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely designed as an augmentation tool, not a replacement.
Yeah.
You initiate things, you provide the context, you make the final calls. It's like having a really smart assistant guiding and helping, but you're still the one steering the ship.
Good to clarify. What about just managing the task list itself? Can I add tasks manually if something comes up? Or get rid of ones that aren't relevant anymore?
Yep. There's an add task command for manually adding new things with options for titles and descriptions. We mentioned the canceled status for tasks that are no longer planned. And for getting rid of them completely, there's remove task, now with that safety confirmation.
Okay. And if I ask it to do something complex, like that task expansion, does my editor freeze up while it thinks?
No, that's another area they've apparently worked on. Long-running things like complex analysis or generating lots of subtasks happen in the background asynchronously.
Yeah, good.
So you should get progress updates without it blocking your main workflow. They've also apparently improved the AI's guidance to keep it focused on Taskmaster stuff and provided better error messages if, say, subtask generation fails. Plus, better fallback mechanisms if one AI model isn't responding, just generally making it smoother.
This sounds like a lot of refinement has gone into the user experience lately. Let's talk about that license again, MIT with Commons clause. What does that really mean for someone using it?
Okay, so the MIT part is super permissive. Use it, change it, distribute it, pretty much standard open source freedom for using the tool in your own projects, personal or commercial.
Right.
The Commons clause adds restrictions specifically around selling Taskmaster itself. You can use it to build and sell your own software products, that's fine.
But you can't.
You can't sell Claude Taskmaster as Claude Taskmaster. You can't offer it as a hosted SaaS platform where people pay you to use Taskmaster. And you can't just take the code, tweak it a bit, and sell it as a direct competitor.
Okay, so use it freely in your development, build things with it, but don't sell the tool itself or a direct clone service based on it.
Exactly. It encourages people to use it and builds on it, but protects the original developers from having someone else just commercialize their core work directly. It's kind of a strategic balance.
Makes sense. Finally then, bringing it all together, the report mentions recent strides in stability and the impact of version 0.14. What's the overall picture now?
Yeah, 0.14 seems like a really significant release. We've hit most of the highlights. The cost tracking, the Olama and Baserol support for model flexibility, the complexity analysis,
Right.
but also improvements to the editor integration, MCP, making it more stable, better task tracking with that canceled status, a smoother CLI, better docs, tutorials. The big theme seems to be increased stability and reliability. They're apparently more confident recommending it for integrated use in tools like Cursor now.
And behind the scenes.
More automated testing like continuous integration, CI, to catch bugs earlier, and fixes to the release process itself to make sure people get the right versions. It sounds like it's maturing into a pretty solid tool.
It really does sound like Claude Taskmaster is shaping up to be a robust, evolving tool for developers working in this fast-moving AI software space.
I think so. It brings together that streamlined workflow, the cost management features, the intelligent task analysis, and flexible integration in a really compelling way. And that licensing, it's an interesting approach, open for development, protected from direct commercial copycats.
So maybe the final thought for you, our listener, is to think about how something like this could genuinely change your development process. What does it mean to have an AI co-pilot, not just for code, but for managing the entire project? What are the implications for how we'll build software in the future when AI takes on these more strategic roles? Definitely worth checking out the GitHub repo, github.com by Claude Taskmaster, to see the specifics and maybe even try it out.